back in Formula 3, nobody knew me, and therefore I didn't have a girlfriend. Somehow it became easier to get a girlfriend when I got to Formula 1. Why is that?
Whoa! Look at his face light up.
Yeah.
Let's say good morning to David Coulthard. Morning, David.
Good morning to you. The reason it lit up is because that's one of the old school engine noises from the past.
In the good old days.
I'm going to be honest, I love Formula 1, but I'm not a Formula 1 engine sounding nerd. That to me that's just... I couldn't tell you what it is. It's just a fast car.
It's a V10. Nowadays, they're a little bit quieter because, I say, we've got, I think, about 30% hybrid energy, because you really wanted to know that, going to 50% in 2026.
Whoa.
But it's going to be noisier in 26 as well. So.
Oh, good. Such an iconic sound.
Is that the same?
That's the same one, I think. That's a V10 as well.
That's a V10. Right.
What's that then?
Jesus, that could be somebody's Mark II Escort modified.
Okay. How about this one?
Zoom. That's your drunk buddy phoning you at night.
Yeah.
We've got this one.
Well, we do not like to know what happens at home. So
exactly
we'll
right.
leave that one.
What they do behind closed doors.
So, the Autosport and BRDC Young Driver of the Year Awards, it's happening tonight. It's going to be announced this evening. The Young Driver will be announced this evening at the London at the Autosport Awards. You can see who the winner is by following Autosport on Instagram at Autosport. Now, I'm fascinated by this, and I've got lots of questions for you. Have you ever won the Young Driver Award?
I did indeed. Once upon a time, I was a young driver back in 1990. But the great thing is when I won it, so I was the first winner of that award. And, you know, Autosport magazine has been the backbone of our industry. That's, you know, back where I grew up in Scotland. It was issued on a Monday, but it took until Wednesday to get to me. So, you know, but, you know, there wasn't the internet and things like that. So it was the Bible of your information. So when I won it, because it was the first year, they just basically gave it to me as a winning young driver. Nowadays, there's a very stringent competition, which if it's almost like a race championship in itself to decide who's going to be the young driver. So basically what I'm saying is, it definitely defines talent more today than it did back then.
Right. So there's 4 nominees for Young Driver of the Year. Now, I've not heard of any of these people, but that doesn't mean anything. But it does give me loads of questions. The eldest is 18, the youngest is 16. Now, one of these 4, all of these 4, none of these 4 could make it to Formula 1.
Yeah.
Because the journey to get to be an F1 driver, you've got to go through a lot. You've got to be racing a long time. And there's money involved as well, isn't there? It's very difficult to get into a Formula 1 car.
Yeah, great summary. There are 20 seats out of thousands of, you know, tens of thousands of hopefuls around the world who set off in karting. You know, when I started, it was 11 years old, and it was a very, let's say, a much more simple journey towards getting into cars, and it was a much more affordable first step. Nowadays, and I'm experiencing this as a father, you know, I've got a 16-year-old son who will enter cars this year.
Right.
And, you know, we're talking hundreds in terms of funding to do your first year. When I did my first year, and this, you know, it was, I think it cost $35,000 in my first year of racing, which is still a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
So the inflation index has not linked from 1989 to where we are today, because motorsport has grown as a business from Formula 1 down. So the triangle, or the pyramid, if you like, of motorsport opportunities is much bigger, but of course that's driven up costs as well. So it is a tough journey, but nobody's forced into it. There's a passion for getting into karting in the same way that anyone might get into soccer, football, whatever we call it nowadays. And the very best will be able to present their skills to the talent coaches. And even then, sometimes, and I'm sure you know and have interviewed or seen people and yourself that were brilliant, but somehow didn't make it to the tippity top because something distracted them, or they got an injury, or whatever life threw at them.
Well, these, you watch Formula One, and I constantly remind myself, you're watching arguably the best drivers on planet Earth for that sport, and there is really nothing between them, nothing between any of the drivers. It's wafer thin, and when you look at the qualifying or whatever, and you see fractions of a second between drivers, and it just shows you how tight it is. So to get there, you've got to be the best of the best, continue to be the best of the best, keep being the best of the best, and also be in the right place at the right time, and also have the finances to get you there. It's a hell of a slog, isn't it? And I guess that's why you end up with a kitchen like yours.
Yeah, well, I wish this was my kitchen, but I was moderately successful, and I would definitely didn't fall into the category of being the best of the best, but I clearly was good enough to enter the sport, given great support from the mainly British teams. Williams, Sir Frank Williams gave me my opportunity in the same way he gave Damon Hill, Jenson Button, Nigel Mansell came in via Lotus, but he won his world championship at Williams. We've got so much to shout about in the UK. If we were American, everybody would know how brilliant we are at designing racing cars. And we've had a lot of brilliant drivers and a number of world champions, but we're British, so we tend to be a bit more reserved about, I think there's only 3 of the Formula One teams. I don't know why I know there's only 3 of the Formula One teams aren't based in the UK. Yeah. We are the Silicon Valley of engineering and design and build of fast race cars.
Are you going to be at the awards tonight? I guess you are.
I will be at the awards. That's one of the reasons I'm over in the UK for a couple of days. And I'm looking forward to it because, one, there's a number of people from my generation that I'll be able to catch up with. And then I get the first time to see some of the young drivers that are coming up. I'm traveling the world with Formula One, so I'm not going to all of the various grassroots levels of motorsport, but there's lots of young talent there. And I'm curious to see who's going to be the winner tonight. And they will do so in front of the likes of Christian Horner and various other F1 team principals. So famously, Lewis Hamilton, when he won it, I think 8 or 9 years old, walked up to Ron Dennis, who ran McLaren at the time, and asked him for his autograph and phone number because he was going to be he wanted to drive for McLaren. Fast forward 10 years or whatever it was, he was a Formula One driver for McLaren.
Incredible.
It is great, isn't it? It is such a lovely thing. So for the untrained, obviously you're Formula One. Does it literally go down F1, F2, F3, F4, and then that's the route?
Yeah, we keep it simple in motor racing. In many ways, in terms of sports people, we're the goldfish of the sporting world because we go around the track or around the bowl and we go, well, that was fun. And we do it again and we do it again and we do it 60 odd times. So we have Formula 1, 2, 3, 4. There isn't a Formula 5 at the moment, but they'll probably invent that.
Yeah, probably. So you've got the 4 nominees tonight. You've got British F4 champion. You've got you've got 2 F4 champions, and you've got a Formula 3 driver and a GB3 champion as well. And they're all, as I say, they're all different ages. Freddie Slater is 16 years old and is 16. Italian F4 champion. You've got Deegan, who is the British F4 champion. He's 18. So it's very it's fascinating to see what's going to happen with these 4 all good drivers who are nominated tonight for the Young Driver of the Year Awards. Autosport on Instagram if you want to find out more. And I know you've got to go, otherwise I could bore you with so many questions about Formula One. Yeah, I have so many. So maybe just ahead of the next season, maybe come back on and come in and we'll just give you loads of questions. But one final thing before I let you go, and thanks for coming on. We got a lovely text earlier this morning when I said you're going to be on the show from Martin. And Martin said, I once broke into David Coulthard's car at Thruxton Race Circuit after his girlfriend left with his car keys.
No recollection of that.
He said this was back in his days in Formula 3, and he was with West Surrey Racing. I remember how shocked he was at how quickly and easily a bunch of semi-drunk mechanics were able to get into his car.
Well, I'm going to question if that's true, because back in Formula 3, nobody knew me, and therefore I didn't have a girlfriend. Somehow it became easier to get a girlfriend when I got to Formula 1. Why is that?
I don't know. It is a funny one, isn't it?
Flaw in your story there, Martin.
Well, work on that for later. Listen, I know you're going to go, so thank you very much for being on. And as I said, come in and another time, and we'll just absolutely rinse your brain with loads of F1 stuff. And
I'd love to.
Love to see you, David. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. All the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Coulthard. There we go.
Radio X.